Boomer Sooner, baby! Yeah, we got another easy victory against Tulsa this week. We all kind of knew it was going to happen. You know, I was pretty close in my prediction, but a lot of us were in the prediction game. So, but that one was pretty easy to tell. I was really surprised, though, how well the defense played. I shouldn't have been. They've been coming together. Yeah, we had 3 or 4 miscues in the secondary, and they'll straighten that out. Harris got his butt chewed, and he deserved to be chewed. But he'll work that out, and by the time we get to Florida State, I expect them to play top-notch, hard-nosed football. It's going to be a tough game with Florida State, but we're not going to talk about that today. We're doing a recap of last week. Now, my prediction of the week, or my upset special, was going to be Middle Tennessee State over Purdue. This close to getting that right. There's no, moral victories or anything, but Middle Tennessee State did catch the winning TD pass in the final seconds, but he couldn't get his foot down in bounds. So, very close, but it's still a 1-for-1 in my upset special. This week, I'm stepping out. With the prediction, it's not going to be some obscure game like that. It's going to be a top 5 team. So a top 5 team goes down. We did say that LSU was going to, spank Oregon, and I was glad to see that. I'm sure most Sooners were. Oregon is such a fraud. We're never going to forgive them for that crap they pulled on us up in Eugene. And their uniforms are terrible, and they're just a poser program. So I was glad to see LSU just spank them, and that was good to see. I was surprised that Boise State handled Georgia the way they did, but Georgia is definitely not even close to what Georgia had been under Mark Richt, and apparently he's a dead coach dead coach coaching, and he's on his way out. And so they're not going to be South Carolina this week. So he is done, and I like the Boise State uniforms better than I did the Georgia. I thought the Boise State uniforms were really cool. They were kind of neat, and I was glad. In the end, I'm a Boise fan. I've said that before. So even though I wanted Georgia to win, to knock them out of the race, knock Boise out of the race, I was glad to see Boise win another game, just because Georgia was kind of a poser. They weren't really for real. They were kind of like Texas Tech. I don't know if they're as good as Texas Tech this year. So that was interesting. And, Alabama won, but Alabama didn't look that strong, on offense. I saw some of the game, and the quarterback issue is an issue. I know that they claim one of them leaped ahead or whatever than the other, but Trent Richardson had 37 yards. He's supposed to be this Heisman front runner, and I just didn't see it. And I don't see their offense doing it now. Nick Saban, if it had been the defense didn't play well, I would say they would bounce back this week. The defense would really perform. But since it was the offense that was suffering, Nick Saban's not really the offensive genius. I don't think their offense is going to muster. Which gives me a slight hint of my upset special is this coming week. This is all about the recap. It's good to see Oklahoma State take care of business. We need Oklahoma State to be good. We need A&M to be good. Texas can suck, and they will suck. Let's get on that Texas game for a little bit. Obviously none of us really got to see it because it's on the Longhorn Network, which is, in about 13 homes across the state of Texas. So that was kind of funny that they never did get the Time Warner deal. And, they're laughing, or they're saying that they're going to get the Time Warner deal, and they're laughing at Time Warner for not stepping up to the plate. But you know what, Texas, I got to be honest with you. Grande stepped up like they did with the NFL Network. And to this day, nobody else has picked up the NFL Network. So, with that, I would say, Longhorn fans, you're in for dead air when it comes to that. Unless you get Grande. Grande's not that big. It's in some areas, but it's not in all areas. It's really small time compared to Time Warner and Dish and DirecTV. So I don't see anybody else stepping up to help you out, which has been a whole mess with the whole realignment. I'm not going to get into that here in the recap. But as far as the Texas game is concerned, I was able to catch the highlights, and you're going to a trick play. You need a trick play to get the offense really moving and so forth. And that's just that's giving me football. And you're playing Rice. You got to go to trick plays against Rice. That's just terrible. That was like me in my backyard. We were 8th graders, and I was playing my brother's, all a bunch of his friends, and they're like 4th graders, 3rd graders. We're doing trick plays to fool them. And plus, by showing the trick play this early, OU is going to be ready for it now. Anytime John Harris comes to the game, we're not going to get lost with the even if he makes a bad snack like he's going to run, he's going to react that quick and stop that. So that was a bad move for Texas's part. And they didn't look bad. Rice was able to cut him. it was not lucky, but a solid win over Mississippi, 14-15 at Ole Miss. Anytime you go into the Southeastern Conference and you take a victory, a road victory like that, it's to be respected. As far as some of the other games that happened, Nebraska looked good, Ohio State looked good, and wasn't it sweet to watch the Coach Gaines get beat? I gotta be honest, that was sweetness. Maryland, I love the uniforms. Me and Ryan Broyles, we might be the only two on the planet, but I thought they were cool, very cool, and I was glad to see them beat Miami. And even better than that was South Florida and this 10-hour game that they beat Notre Dame. Nothing better than Notre Dame get beat, but then when Notre Dame has to suffer for 10 hours with all the delays, that's even better. That's even sweeter. And then Chip Kelly losing it, cussing, and all these Catholics are up in arms and cussing. And, you know, I guess if God didn't want cussing, you know, he wouldn't have let us talk. So apparently, you know, that's part of God's plan too, because he's now the coach at Notre Dame. I actually think he's going to do a great job, and I think that Notre Dame will become really good under him. Right now, they're not. You know, they're going to be about a 9-3 team. As long as they beat the condoms later, I'll be happy about that. As far as anything else that I saw on the horizon, Oregon State getting beat by Sacramento State, didn't get enough airplay because that's, you know, out in the West. And all you guys want OU to move out to the Pac-16 or whatever, you got to remember you don't get near as much pub being part of that conference. Not that I want OU to go to the SEC, but maybe the ACC. Maybe OU should go to the ACC. We get a lot more pub going east than west. And that's the way it goes. Because nobody's talking about Sacramento State upsetting Oregon State. That was like an incredible upset. And we had a bunch of those this week of almost these little teams beating the bigger teams. Middle Tennessee State, Purdue. Obviously Utah State and Auburn. Was it Eastern something? Popcorn State almost beat Kansas State. There was a bunch of games like that. These little teams had a chance to win. So overall, I thought it was a pretty good week of football. I enjoyed it. I wish they had better games on Sunday. I mean, A&M, SMU just didn't cut it. So if they're going to stretch out the college football weekend like that with Labor Day, they have start with the Thursday games. They work it all the way up to Monday. But Sundays is weak right now. They need better games on Sunday to keep the flow going. But other than that, I thought it was a good week. Of course, OU looked good, and I didn't think we looked that great as far as some of our passes, but I think some of that had to do with Stills being some of the routes and stuff. I think because Stills was out, but Seth Stills has served a suspension. He'll be back, and he's obviously, you know, he's a number one receiver for many other teams. Obviously, we got Ryan Broyles; he's the best in the nation. So, but with him back and Ryan and so forth. I think the attack will look even better, even though it didn't look bad last week. But there were times when we kind of bogged down a little bit. And one last thing to the posters. This is a little message board madness. I remember somebody got on me because I said every time Jimmy Stevens, who I know his parents, I know Jimmy's parents. Every time he lines up, I get a little nervous about him kicking, no matter where the ball is. And some guys, a couple of you guys jumped on me and stuff. What do I expect from Jimmy? Because he was perfect last year from extra points. And I said, well, I want another perfect season from him. And, of course, he already missed one this year, which is typical Jimmy Stevens. And I thought the kid that came in and kicked after him, I thought that kid looked pretty good. He's got a solid leg. I think his problem is that he hooks it a little bit. He needs to straighten that out, where Jimmy kicks a straighter ball. Except when he gets the yips. But I like the leg of the younger kid. So with that, let's wrap it up. OU took care of business. They covered and the whole deal. And we'll get on. We'll preview week 1.